You're welcome. The Ogun State Police Command in southwest Nigeria has arraigned the former chairman, you can call him former embattled chairman of Ijebu East local government area, Wale Adedayo, before an Abeokuta Magistrates Court, the state capital's magistrate court, following his battle with the state government, allegations he made. He was impeached by his local government's legislative council, which comprises 11 ward councillors, after he was accused of peddling false information about the financial dealings of his state governor, Governor Dapo Abiodun. Well, the political wave in Ogun State is rising, and we'll be looking at all these incidences. And don't forget that he made some allegations about financial impropriety against the governor of Ogun State, and that's what led to his impeachment and now a subsequent arrest. We have with us a public relations strategy who is in the center of gravity as far as this story is concerned. Dr. Arowojolu, good evening to you. Thank you very much for your time.
A very good evening to you there. Thank you for inviting me.
All right. Well, we all know what's happened there, transpired. It's been the subject of discussion, analysis. The arrest and arraignment of Wale Adedayo, former chairman of Ijebu East local government area, it's garnered significant attention, not just in Ogun State, but outside. What are your thoughts on what's been happening so far, starting from his allegation all the way to the apology rendered by some local government chairmen who went on their knees and bowed to the governor, all the way to his impeachment and now to his arrest? Tell us your thoughts on what's been happening before today.
Thank you very much. Well, let me say first and foremost that I'm happy for what is happening to Wale Adedayo. Wale Adedayo is my colleague, he's a media professional. But you see, it is Pastor Kumuyi who used to say, others may, I will not. Even was it not Pluto that says, even if you are standing alone, stand for the right thing. Somebody has to clear the mess. Somebody has to, sacrifice and lead the way. To that extent, Wale Adedayo has done very, very well. Don't forget that sometimes last year, in the heydays of the Buhari regime, Buhari told the whole world what has been happening with the funds of the local governments. Don't forget, Buhari himself signed an executive order as a way to rescue the local governments in Nigeria from the grip hold of the governors. And it was tough. So Buhari told the world, he said he knows what is happening at the local government scene, and that he already has an evidence that a particular state governor will call the local government chairman anytime that allocation is ready and say, come, what is due to you is 500 million. But take a biro, sign that you collect 500, whereas what the local government chairman gets. I said at that time on one of the radio stations that Buhari showed that he was comfortable with corruption. Buhari was romancing corruption when in actual fact he said he was fighting corruption. I bet if that were to be Obasanjo, he would have made a scapegoat of that governor. I know the governors had immunity anyway, but you see, you had evidence that such a massive fraud had been going on, and you let them. So it doesn't matter what the governors are saying. We all know what has been happening. But really, it's not really the fault of the governors, but the hapless position that the Nigerian Constitution has put the local government in
Okay.
that kind of situation.
Hmm.
And what we are saying is that at least there are some governors that are still, doing omoluwabi with this thing, rather than outright, deducting and withholding, the dues that are supposed to go to the local government. So to that extent, I will applaud Wale Adedayo for doing what nobody has been able to do.
Okay, Doc.
Meanwhile,
a quick question to you.
In the grapevine.
Yes. Yes, go on. You heard what's in the grapevine, please.
Okay. We had it in the grapevine that what Wale Adedayo did was a collective thing. But the other, and his own baptism is good for him, but I'm sure he's going to prevail at the end of the day.
Okay, interesting.
Stop there for now.
That's some interesting grapevine information you're sharing with us. But Wale, you started by saying you're happy that this happened to him, but you came from another angle, probably saying that because everybody who stands for must stand for something. Adedayo has been accused or charged, today with circulating falsehood and making false allegations against Governor Dapo Abiodun. As far as you're concerned, these charges are quite serious. Would you say they're quite serious? And in your opinion, what penalties do you think he could face if he's found guilty?
Let me tell you, the democracy we are enjoying today, some people pay the price. MKR for us we are today. If you are fighting a good cause, what Wale Adedayo has said, he has spoken the minds of the other local government chairmen. If the chicken, he said, look, swore on oath to develop their communities. Don't forget, the local government councils is the closest to the people, and Wale Adedayo is somebody that is worth following. Since he has assumed office, he has been using social media very well. When the caterpillars are working, he will tell us the way it's going. It appears that what the local government system is common already. Is that let's call some people and pick them. The elections, how elections are done into local governments, and say, just come and chop. So you don't expect somebody to, be able to begin to champion causes that will favor not people who are government actors, but their people. Since the Wale Adedayo news broke, there was another local government chairman, that of Abeokuta South, whose voice, telephone conversation is already gone viral in the social media, although he denounced it. He said unprintable things about the way, they have been administering the deductions, So we know that right now, it's not easy also for the governor to, because what we want to see, let them bring their books and say, okay, X, Y, Z amount is what we gave them. But you see, there is a lacuna. Sometimes what comes to the local government, as allocation jointly, that will land in the hand of the state government may represent a shortfall. If my figures are correct, sometimes in July, I think they got about 4.3 billion naira meant for the 20 local government councils in the state. Whereas when you deduct the first line charges, those salaries of traditional rulers, pension deductions, salaries of local government workforce, and some other things, it enters deficit. So I think that's the argument of the government people, that they are the ones that augment. So but what we are saying is that let this local government, let them breathe. Stop withholding their money. So it's a lot of lockdown here and there.
Dr. Arowojolu,
Okay.
Adedayo, of course, we've talked about what he has been charged with, which is circulating falsehood and making false allegations against Governor Dapo Abiodun. Well, but what Adedayo accused Governor Abiodun of is something I would like us to look at very quickly. He accused the governor of diverting federal allocations meant for state government, local government councils. But my question to you is, did Adedayo go about it the wrong way? The police are investigating the allegations, he's made about the governor. Should Adedayo have channeled his investigations to maybe the police, the anti-corruption agencies, even the DSS, or even the Ogun State House of Assembly, rather than do it the way he did it?
Well, time will tell. What I know is this: Wale Adedayo is not a private individual as at the time that he made that allegation. Is that correct? He was the chairman of Ijebu East local government, and he spoke on behalf of his council. He spoke on behalf of his people, and then he did not only make it, he tendered that petition. He tendered it to the EFCC, unless what you are saying now is that the EFCC has become castrated and emasculated and can no longer function. You see, because the import of Wale Adedayo's petition is not really. The governor only is not the one. The governor doesn't sit in JAC meetings, but he has his people there. So if the governor has immunity, those people who are in chieftaincy and chieftaincy and local government commission, they don't have immunity. The commissioner of finance does not have immunity. So what we are saying is that the whole thing is in the open. You are saying that because he's a local government chairman, he cannot make a. He has said this is what has been happening. He had dictates and he has submitted. What I think we should be asking now is that what has happened to Wale Adedayo's petition? All these attempts, all these arrests today by DSS, arraignment, detention tomorrow by the police, an arraignment at the court. To me, if you ask me, is just diversionary. He has made it known, people like Wale Adedayo in normal times, you should thumb up for them because he's treading on a path that is very dangerous. The people he has accused can never be happy at.
Dr. Arowojolu, are you there, please? All right. I don't know if you can hear me, sir, but of course, if you're watching, it's still Politics HQ. Our guest is a public relations strategist, Dr. Arowojolu. He is joining us from Ogun State, where we've had some quite controversial developments as far as the polity of Ogun State is concerned. Dr. Ayo, are you there, please?
I'm with you.
Okay. Let's look at some of what some civil society groups are talking about. One of the groups I've read, of which statement I've read, is the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACO, who described Adedayo's arrest as an attack on whistleblowers. Would you agree with them?
I didn't quite hear that narration very well. You spoke about some civil society groups.
Okay, so yes, some of them have, as I've described, Wale Adedayo's arrest as an attack on whistleblowers. Do you think this is an attack on a whistleblower, or do you use the same description as well?
Oh, okay. Yes, I agree. Because you see, it's the word of Wale Adedayo versus what the government is saying. You see, the government has an onus to make sure that the local government system works, but it's not working. So if somebody is blowing the whistle and it follow the normal channel, I'm sure he didn't. When you are a major professional of Wale Adedayo's caliber, would have thought through all of this. There are hazards in this profession. I expect that likes the person who speaks the truth. The Yoruba say, oh, they think that this system will continue to go on forever, but it's not going to be like that. Yes, it's been tried today. Let him go to court. Let him answer to the charges. But you see, time will tell.
All right, that's the argument some are making, that if he blows the whistle, he has an allegation that a burden of proof lies on him, that he's in court, he can simply say, see, my information, this is the fact, these are the records that I used to arrive at this conclusion. Put it out there for the whole world to see, So some are not of the view that it's an attack on a whistleblower. Rather, they see this as a whistleblower being given an opportunity to make his case, to defend himself. But let's move on. Let's talk about the rule of law for a second. The arrest of this man and the allegations that have been tabled have raised, concerns about the rule of law and the use of state institutions in such cases. How should law enforcement agencies handle cases involving government officials and whistleblowers to ensure that there is, sort of transparency and there's fairness to both sides?
Well, I think there is no sincerity in this whistleblower policy since the Buhari government brought it to, I have seen a lot of governments in my 33 years working as a journalist. I have covered, I've seen government the way they are. All governments, successive governments, they are not sincere. They are saying something else different from yes. But what we are saying is this. Governor Abiodun will not be the first, going by the allegation of Wale Adedayo. Remember, this is Ogun State. This type of allegation has happened before. It happened during the time of Otunba Gbenga. Same Ijebu East local government. That time, the same local government, different personalities. It happened during the Ibikule movement. Some people will even comment this government Abiodun that it's a bit
All right, Dr. Arowojolu, are you there, please? Sorry about the internet connectivity issues. It happens from time to time. We're still looking at the unfolding political situation in Ogun State, southwest Nigeria. Doc, can you hear me, please? All right, and of course, we've been telling you that the Ogun State Police Command has arraigned former chairman. He was a chairman until some weeks ago when he was impeached. Former chairman of Ijebu East local government area, Wale Adedayo, was arrested by the police, I think in the middle of the night, and was has been arraigned before an Abeokuta Magistrate Court. Abeokuta is the capital of Ogun State. Following his battle with the state government, he made allegations of financial misappropriation against the Ogun State governor. And these allegations are quite grave, and that marked the beginning of his woes, as it were, the beginning of the end for him as an official of government, elected official of government, that is, in Ijebu's local government area of Nigeria. Of course, in Nigeria, local government chairmen are elected at an election. The councillors in his local government legislature voted to impeach him based on the allegations he made against the governor. Adedayo accused the governor, Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, of diverting statutory federal allocations. And what happens is that these allocations are part of what the local government gets when the federal government of Nigeria sits down with the state governments to divide what Nigerians call the national cake, which is the monies accruing to government from taxes, from revenue, and of course from profits from government business, for instance, from sale of oil and all that. You had, I guess, mention what you call the JAC, which is a Joint Account Committee, which is where the state, local governments are supposed to go and then get their funds. The local government chairmen do not attend the FAC meeting. That's where the national cake, the national revenue, is shared among the states of the federation and the federal government. That's the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, FAAC. And so when they share that money, the state local government chairmen don't go there. Those who go there are the commissioners of finance of the states. So that's that. Nigeria's former president, Buhari, had pushed for local government financial autonomy. And you heard, I guess, also talking about that. He also pushed for judicial autonomy. He pushed for autonomy for state houses of assembly. That is, they don't need to wait for the state government to pay them, and that their salaries could be and expenses could be made a first-line charge. Of course, the state houses of assembly, most of them voted against their own independence, which is not surprising, looking at how independent state houses of assembly in Nigeria are. Local governments also are largely not independent because state governments have sort of usurped the role of the electoral umpire, and they control what happens as far as elections in their states are concerned. And that's something everybody knows. That's what has led to the call for Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission to take charge of running local government elections in Nigeria, so that we'll have possibility of opposition parties in the states winning local government elections. One I remember that has happened is Kaduna State, because El Rufai, the then governor of Kaduna State, allowed for free and fair local government elections. But we have a guest back with us, Dr. Arowojolu. Thank you very much for your time, sir. If you can hear me, let's move on to further questions before we run out of time. Governor Abiodun's administration, like you've heard, has accused Adedayo of defamation, denigration of the office of the governor, and incitement to destabilize the state's peace. What's your assessment of these accusations and the implications it might have for freedom of speech? Will people in Ogun State be afraid to speak again, to talk again?
Well, I think the governor should just change his style. You understand? This way of the court will not solve the problem. Wale Adedayo wrote to he wrote to former Governor Oshoba, who has been in that shoes before. And all the other stakeholders have a duty to take away the state from news focus for the wrong reason. It's still the same Ogun that is, that is being mentioned for the wrong reasons. Let them solve this thing amicably. Then how they can rescue the local governments and allow them to at least function. We know that the Constitution is what has caused this. And Ogun State is APC, under a federal APC government. Wait a minute, can we ask what has Ogun State signed, the amendment to the Constitution in respect of none of these local governments will be freed. So what I'm saying is this: let the governor, calm down a little bit. If Wale Adedayo appeared to have offended, let him call him. Let him come to rapprochement. Using state power to hand him will not solve any problem, because power belongs to God.
All right, I'll latch on to the what you call state power very shortly, but should anti-corruption agencies such as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, we have the ICPC, should these agencies investigate the allegations that Adedayo has placed on the table? What role can they play to resolve this issue, and how can they ensure, that there's transparency in the disbursement of public funds? Because he's made allegations that are worth looking into.
Let me use this license to say this: it's a wonderment that the anti-corruption agencies have not swung into action. The fact that the governor has immunity does not mean they cannot look at the nitty-gritty of that matter. Remember, I told you, I said, it's just by the way, by officialdom, that he mentioned the name of the governor. I'm sure Wale Adedayo was referring to the government that is in power in Ogun State, which fortunately or unfortunately has President Adedayo as, as the head. So it should not be about you have stained my reputation, But we want to see, what we want to see is that justice has been done. Those, Wale Adedayo is there. By now, EFCC should have invited him, come and substantiate your allegation. All this perambulation, to me, is just maybe trying to weaken his result, but I'm not sure that will work. Let EFCC prove that they have not been castrated. Let the ICPC, let them do their work. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, is the bane. Corruption and impunity, nothing will happen. That's the way, Nigeria has been going.
All right.
This is unfortunate. Until we stop corruption and impunity, no good thing will happen.
Thank you, Dr. Arowojolu. Unfortunately, I don't know, we won't have time, but the issue of immunity from prosecution by the governors comes into play here. Thank you so much for your time. We'll look at this further as the situation develops. Dr. Ayo Arowojolu is a public relations strategist who joined us from Ogun State. We'll be right back. We have more stories ahead. Of course, looking at the new Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Yemi Cardoso. Please stay with us.